right, Fabricio, you have a very big fight coming up in a couple of days, safely in Singapore. How are you feeling? How's everything going?
Feeling great for this fight. The camp was great. The camp was great. The weight is good. Everything is going very well.
Good, man. Good. Before we get into this fight you have coming up, I wanted to ask you a bit about your last fight. Really great performance over Lakay, who's of course a guy that a lot of people thought very highly of, and you nuked him in the first round. How satisfied are you with that win?
Yeah, it was a good fight for me. I knew I could finish the fight, and we prepared very well. The game plan was like was all in my mind. I knew kind of like is almost exactly like the fight was going to happen, and it went my way.
hmm So you're fighting Jeremy Pacatiw this Friday at One Full Circle in Singapore. What do you know about this guy? What are your thoughts on him?
So I don't really know much about him. I just watched like his debut in one. Try to find like some fights of him, but I didn't find any. But yeah, I watched his fight against Shane Ray. I know like I have an idea of how he gonna come for this fight too, and then for sure it's gonna be a good fight.
He trains at Team Lakay, which is of course a great gym out of the Philippines. And Team Lakay, they've had a long history in one championship. So many great fighters and champions. Do you feel like it's kind of an important part of your one championship journey to fight a guy from Team Lakay finally?
Yeah, like the Kevin Belingan was in the ranking, like so it was always in my mind that I would fight one of those guys anytime. And I was expect to fight Kevin or Stefan Man, but they sent me him. So yeah, it's gonna be good to finally fight one of those guys.
You mentioned that you thought you might get Kevin or a ranked opponent. You're ranked number 4 right now, I believe. I think a lot of people were expecting to see you get a ranked opponent in this fight. Were you surprised at all that you're not fighting someone ranked?
Uh, no, really, no. Like one championship, no. I accept like any opponent. I'm always ready. When I wasn't ranked, I fought Shoko Sato. That was the number 2. So it's the same thing as happening right now. So I wasn't surprised. They sent me him, and then I just accepted.
How important are the rankings to you? Does it mean something to you being in the rankings, or are you just kind of taking every fight that's available and hoping that eventually you'll work your way to a title shot?
Like for me, I just have like 8 fights, 8 MMA fights right now. So, but the all those guys, they know like how I fight. They know of my potential. So I think if I was in the ranking right now, would be a bit harder to get fights. But right now I'm number 4. So in the end, in one championship, there's only 5 guys in the top 5 on the rankings. So for those guys, they need to fight me if they wanna get to the rankings. So they need to fight me. So I think that's like the difference right now. If I wasn't ranking, maybe they wouldn't accept a fight against me, but now they have to. But
hmm
for me, it doesn't really matter. On the end of the day, it's just numbers. Like I thought the guy was number 2 when I wasn't ranked. I fought the guys that have like a crazy records numbers, and then my record was like no good. So for me, it's just numbers. It doesn't really matter for me.
Do you think if you win impressively this Friday, you might be able to jump to the front of the line?
Um, it is up to one championship. They know I asked for fight for the title. I asked for fight Bibiano. I asked for fight Jolinek. I'm ready to fight any of the guys next week. And one championship knows it. So if they want me to fight for the title next, I'll be ready. If they want me to keep like smashing those guys, I'll be ready to do that too.
Bibiano and John Lineker were supposed to fight a few weeks ago, and that fight fell through. I was wondering when that happened, are they going to call Fabricio because you're nearby? You have a fight coming up. Did they talk to you about that at all? Was there any
No,
conversation?
no, they didn't talk with me. I actually got a couple messages of people like asking that, like for me to jump in, but one championship never contacted me. So
If they had, would you have been interested in doing that?
I don't know. Like it was I think it was like 3 days before the fight. Was really close. So I didn't have the opportunity to say yes or no. So it's hard to say.
The goal for you is obviously the title and the winner of that fight. Who do you think wins that fight between Bibiano Fernandez and John Lineker?
Honestly, like now I think I would pick Linek to be the winner of the fight. just for the moment he is in right now. He's coming like he's more active. He come from good wins, you know. So I think I would pick him to win that fight.
Do you have a preference as to which guy you fight down the road? Is there one guy that you like the idea of fighting more?
Like I like to strike, you know. I'm a striker, so I think a fight against Lineker would be very entertaining for the fans. But also BBN would be a big challenge for me, you know. So I think any of those guys would be a good matchup for me.
That fight with John Lineker would be crazy. The fight with Bibiano, of
Would
course,
be
would be good
very
too.
entertaining.
But
I think it
Lineker
would
would.
be a show for the fans.
And you fought strikers, aggressive strikers like John Lineker before, including Lee Kai Wen, and you knocked him out. Do you think you could knock out John Lineker?
I think my game is is gonna be a big problem for him.
Do you think you match up with Bibiano Fernandez or John Lineker better? Who do you think you have a better shot of beating of those two?
Uh, I think it's pretty even, you know. Like, you know, my takedown defense is really good, so Bibian also would have a hard time trying to put me down and keep me down, you know.
hmm Assuming you get the title shot soon and it goes your way, you win the belt. You picture that moment. Chatri's wrapping the belt around your waist. What would that moment feel like for you?
Man, that would feel great for sure. Like the moment I'm living right now is being like amazing, you know. I dream of doing this thing that I'm doing, so I'm already like very happy, you know, to be here right now. And just like the thought to be champion, to finally like have like the the just like the respect, you know, like to do for everything I have done like all those years, you know. I have trained so much, working hard, you know. Like every day I keep like finding out new things to make my body strong, to make my game strong, you know. So when that happened, you feel really good for sure.
You've had a great journey in this sport. You're obviously on a great streak right now, but you did have two losses back to back earlier in your career, which I think, I mean, I'm not a fighter myself, but I imagine that would be a very discouraging thing for a fighter early on. How are you feeling after those two losses you had earlier in your career?
Man, like after my first loss, I didn't want to fight MMA anymore. You know, it was really hard for me because I felt like a guy who was like two divisions up weight. Like I was meant to fight 58 kg and I ended up fighting 66. So like I got like it was a really hard fight for me, and I got knocked out on the second round. And after that, like I was really sad for a long time, and then I decided don't want to fight MMA anymore. So I just like keep fighting like kickboxing, Muay Thai. But when I was in China one time, like I needed money. I need to keep fighting like to make money, you know. So I accept another MMA fight, but I don't really care in the time like about my record, about like how that would affect my career. And then I ended up losing it again, you know. But it didn't feel as bad as the first one because I didn't really care about MMA in the time. But then eventually, like I decided, like man, that's what I want. That's like my dream, you know. I knew like I could be good, and then when I decided to come back, like everything was different, you know. I was like a new fighter, and that's like I think is the main reason why I was always so confident when I fought Mark Abelard the first time, when I fought Choco Sato, because I knew I wasn't the same fighter then that I was when I lost, and I was very confident that I could beat all those guys, you know.
Was it difficult mentally at all to get back to winning ways after those two losses? Like, did you have to psych yourself up at all? Was that a challenge for you?
I think it wasn't hard. It was just like the decision, you know, because I knew if I make the decision that I want to like come back to fight MMA, I knew like I would have to dedicate myself for that, and I didn't want to come back and lose again. You know, I'm not a loser. No, I like to win. I want to win.
hmm
I was winning kickboxing. I was winning Muay Thai, and then I don't want to go to MMA and start to lose. You know, so when I decide to come back, like I really like put the work to come
hmm
back like I never was, you know.
hmm After those setbacks early in your career, now you're on this amazing streak. You must be so satisfied with the progress you've made. I bet, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Like and to be fight for one too, you know, like I think before I signed with them, I was like almost 1 year without any fights, any kickbox or MMA. So it was a very difficult time. It was also like when the COVID started, so I had no idea when I was going to fight, you know. And when I had the opportunity to fight for one, it was amazing when I signed with them. Like it was like finally happening, you know. And now I'm here, like after like three good wins, and like people know me now. You know, I'm not the underdog anymore. People respect me, so it feels really good for sure.
What does it mean to you to have that reputation? Like you said, people know you now. You're seen as one of the top contenders in the division. A lot of people think that you're a future champion. I mean, what does it mean to you to have that reputation?
It's great, man. Like it feels really good. Feels really
Mhm.
good and keeps me motivated. You know, it's not like I'm just gonna stop work hard. It just makes me work even harder, you know, because I know I have so much support now. I have so much people that believe in me, and they really like wanted me to do good, you know, so I can't let those people down, you know. So I had to put even more work every day, you know.
Mhm. Back to this fight this Friday. Is there any particular way you see it going?
I would say a first round knockout.
You're pretty good at those, eh? So if it goes your way, I mean, what's next for you? Is there anybody in particular you'd like to fight next?
Anybody, you know, I'm ready for anybody. They send me a name, I'll sign the contract and I'll be ready.
That you said Kevin Belingan's name earlier. If that's next, that's the fight you take. If
Yeah, if
anybody.
they send me him, I'll take it, you know. I don't think it's a good fight for him right now, but if they send me his name, I'll take it.
Mhm, mhm, cool. Whoever you end up fighting next, I mean, what are your goals for 2022? Where do you hope to be by the end of this year?
I want to be champion by the end of this year.
And are you confident you can make that happen?
If they give him the chance, yes.